Alrighty, hello class, welcome. Today we're going to learn about topic 2, nonverbal communication across cultures. Now, before we get into the slideshow though, there is something I want to ask really quick. How many of you remember the article we read last time called Body Ritual Among the Nasirema? Show of hands? Okay, good. And out of you guys who remember it, what do you guys remember me saying the main point of it was? I mean, we read it, we talked about it a bit. What was the main point of that article? So that's how we're going to learn about non-cultural communication across cultures. Now, before I go into the first slide, I just want to ask, what is nonverbal communication? What are some nonverbals, I guess? All right, very good. I think you guys are basically there. So to go to the first slide, according to Moreau et al., most simply stated, nonverbal communication is communication through means other than language. And so as you can see here on the slide, they give the example of somebody giving someone a high five. That's definitely nonverbal. That's supposed to communicate, good job, or, I'm proud of you, that sort of thing. So according to Moreau et al., nonverbal communication can be broken down to 7 categories, including paraverbal methods, which means using our voice, stillness or silence, physical characteristics, proxemics, which means spacing, chronemics, which means timing, kinesics, meaning body movement, and artifacts and environmental factors. However, for this lesson, we're going to go over 4 main nonverbals. So we are going to cover stillness or silence, because believe it or not, staying silent or staying still actually says a lot. It communicates a lot. We're going to go over proxemics, which, as I kind of went over, it has to do with spacing. We're going to talk about chronemics, which has to do with how we use time. And we're going to talk about kinesics, which has to do with how you move your physical body, your gestures and stuff, right? If you've noticed, here in the United States, we don't really like silence. Whenever there's silence, people seem to get nervous. They want to fill that silence. They feel uncomfortable that maybe something's wrong, maybe someone's angry or disappointed. So, they kind of want to keep the conversation going. However, in Asian countries, it's very interesting because they actually see silence as respectful. However, in the Middle East, this is totally different. There's no such thing as body bubble or personal space. People love to get up close, like this close when communicating, and it is unfriendly to not sit next to others, even if you don't know them. So that's right. If you were in the Middle East, same thing. If there was supposed to be like some sort of like a doctor's office visit, people would not leave these chairs around them. People would go and they would sit right next to the person that's already there, strike up a conversation with them because they see it as what's the right thing to do. And so for Mexican people, we joke that, for instance, if a party says it's going to start at 7, most people will not start showing up till 8. And the majority of people will be there like at 9 or later. And, the party doesn't really get started until like a few hours in. That's what they call it Mexican time. So if you want people to be there at a certain time, you're going to have to like lie a little bit and give them like an hour earlier. And that's kind of the idea they're giving here, that when it comes to people from these other countries, they just show up when they show up. They don't mind, interruptions or doing a lot of things at once. For them, it's more about just taking things smooth, taking things slow. But then, totally different from the US or from Japan or any of those Asian countries, there's other countries, a lot of European countries, I know they kind of do it in Mexico, etc., where they actually greet people with kisses. Like in Mexico, men and women, they greet each other with like, kisses on the cheek, that sort of thing. And it's common for in other countries, sometimes even men kiss each other on the cheek. Even though here that would be very strange, and people kind of it weirds them out. In our countries, it's common for men to kiss each other. So, alrighty, guys, and here is the references slide. As I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to read more into these different nonverbals, these resources are actually in the class resources. 2 of them are books, but there's the link to the book itself, and one of them is an article. So I think it's a very interesting read. And yeah, guys, with that being said, there is a video I want you guys to watch now. It's going to show us what we're talking about, some gestures around the world. So let me just pull up YouTube, and we will watch that video. So let's move on to that.